Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi Theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we've got a great little timeline. It's just coming into view down the bottom there. If I continue scrolling down, you'll see the little middle line. It's got a nice little animation to it as we scroll down. And you can add buttons and all kind of information. I've got another one down below which is just a simplified version of it, but you'll see it animate as we roll on down the page there. Really easy to do. We're using Divi Supreme Modules plugin for this today. It was an awesome plugin. If you want to learn more, check out my link below the video. But let's get started. I'm going to enable the Visual Builder so we can build on the front end. I'm going to add a new page and we'll start from scratch. I'm going to call it Timeline. And of course I want to use the Divi Builder. I'm going to build from scratch, and for mine today I'm going to use a single column. Divi comes as standard with all the light grey modules here, plenty enough to build just about any site. When you add Divi Supreme modules you get these blue ones here, and there's about 50 of them, and there's some fantastic additions, there really are. I'm looking for the Supreme Content Timeline. There it is right there. Okay, well let's add our first piece of content. I'm going to hit the plus sign. And if we look here, let's put in a little placeholder image, title, and some descriptive text there. Obviously you can put an image there if you want to. Just put one of these small images in that I've got of people right here. If you prefer, you can choose to use an icon. Divi's just partnered up with Font Awesome, so there's all kind of icons to choose from here. You can scroll down, there'll be a lot of scrolling too, or you can put in a search, or you can hit the little icon, it'll pop out and you can scroll through on a bigger pop out screen like this. That's going to work for me today though, so let's pop in an icon. That's fine. Like I say, you can choose to add either the icon or the image. I'll roll with the icon on that. We've got an image in there if you prefer. You can choose to have it on the top or the actual left hand side of the content. I'm going to leave mine on top there. Obviously put whatever title you want in there, and if you want to use dynamic content that pulls from posts and things, you can do here, but in this instance I don't think that's going to work too well. So put your title in there. Put whatever you want the card to say down in here, and this is a regular text box, so you can align content, make headings if you need to, bold, italicize, make bullet lists, and add media if you want to add images to that part as well. You can choose to use a pointer or icon on an image there if you want to. Okay, and for the opposite text down below, this is something that's going to appear on the opposite side of the button here. So I'm just going to put the date for mine. Obviously you can put in whatever you want to write. Give it a nice title and description if you want to. I'm simply going to put the date in. So today's date's 5/23/2022. As you can see, that's popped that in there on the opposite side. If you want to add a button or a call to action to your little card over there, click on the button. Add what you want your button to say right there. It hasn't shown up. It won't show up until we add a link. I'm going to put a hashtag in place of a link there. And as you can see, we've got our button turned up now. Always best practice with links. If you're linking to your own site, leave it in the same window. If you're linking to somebody else's site, open it in a new tab. That way your site stays open. Okay, and of course down below we can give it a background, and you've got color, gradient, image, video, background pattern or background mask there. Let's just give us a color, ours a color today, and let's just make it blue. Fantastic, and I'll adjust that writing so we can see it a bit better in our design tab. Okay, well, let's move on over to our design tab. Alignment. You can align things left as they are now, center, or right. I think I'm going to keep mine left in this particular case. Now you can style the title text down below. I'm simply going to make that white. Divi comes with a crazy amount of fonts. If you just click on the default there, it'll pop them up. If you want to audition one, just roll over it and it'll give you an example of that particular font. I'm going to stick with the default for mine today. I think I might make it uppercase though. And perhaps semi-bold. Great, that's fine. Rolling down a little bit more. We've got our content here. Let's add a little bit of text shadow to that. Make it stand out a little bit more on the top. That's our title. Down below we've got our content. And we can do exactly the same thing for the fonts and everything there. I'm simply going to make mine light in colour so we can read it in this particular case. Here's the opposite text. Colour's fine at the moment. Let's just have it uppercase. Let's just make it semi-bold so it stands out a little bit more. There we go, that's fine. And perhaps bring it up a little bit in size. Something like that. Fantastic. Don't want any text shadow on that particular one. Okay, and next down we can style our button. Let's use the custom styles here. Button text color, I'm going to make that white. There we go. Button background, let's make that purple. That's fine, and we can change it to a different color on hover if we want to. And this is common to all Divi modules. If you roll up over the dark writing here, you'll see some icons appear. If there's an arrow, click on the arrow, and we can set a desktop state, which will be purple. And then when they hover over it, we can change it to a different color. Let's change it to red when we hover over it. There we go, just like that. And if you want to leave the border, you can change the border, and you can have different border colors on hover state as well. But I think I'm going to take my border away. If you choose to have different colors on border state, make sure you go down to the border color and hit the little arrow there. Don't try and do it when you're on anything else. For instance, you can't do your color when you're up here or when you're up here for the border. I'm simply going to take my border away by putting 0 border in there like that. Fantastic. Great, well let's move on down. Image and icon. Well, we've got our icon there. We can choose to make the icon a certain color, and we can give it a background color if we want. Want to give it a purple color there, that's fine. We've got an icon width down below. I'm going to leave mine pretty much like that. The alignment, again, you can do it left, center, or right. I'm happy with mine to be on the left. You can give it a little border around it if you want to, right here. Just choose a border color, choose how many pixels you want the border to be, and you can see it happening right there. We could actually make that round, and to make it round, we'd have to make it sort of square first and then give it a border. So we've actually got some padding here. If I give it, say, 5 pixels top and bottom, maybe too much. Just going to demonstrate how to create a round one. I'm trying to make it into a square. Let's try 3 pixels left and right. I'm just putting in the 3. It's putting in the pixels for me. Hit the chain, it does the opposite side. Okay, that looks fairly square to me. We'll see when I try and turn it into a circle. Let's roll back up to here. I'm going to take that border width down slightly, maybe to 2 pixels. And if we go up now, rounded corners, as long as you've got this little icon checked here, it'll do all 4 at once for you. So I'm going to put in 50%, see if I can make that round. 50 and the percent. There we go, we've got a circular one. Looks a little squat, looks like I've got to add a little bit more padding top and bottom there. It looks wider than it is tall, so we can just roll back down again. Let's roll this up. Yeah, I think the 6 was good. Obviously, you do yours how you want to do yours. Okay, and of course if you want to make it bigger, just up the padding. And you can also up the icon size at the top. Image icon width right there. Okay, well let's move on down. If you want to, you can give it its own little box shadow. That's quite a nice little effect really. Okay, the actual card itself, here's our card right here. If you want to put rounded corners, you can on there. Won't go quite so crazy as we did with our icon. Let's perhaps give this 8 pixels and give it slightly rounded corners. As you can see, that's giving it a bit of a rounded corner there. Border styles, well again we've got no border. Let's give it a 2 pixel purple border, say. We're using sort of purple and blue here. I'm just continuing the theme a little bit. That's great. And if you want to give it a bit of box shadow lifted off the page, you can do so like that. That's a nice little feature too. Okay, rolling on down. We've got filters, but I really don't need to use any of these. Hue, saturation, brightness, contrast. These work better on images usually, but do play around with them and you can get some nice effects if you want to. And you can certainly get some hover effects going. For instance, if I was to do a hover effect on the color background of here, I could say hue, and again go up, hit the little arrow. We can fix the hover state. For regular state, I'll leave it where it is, proper colors. For the hover state, you can flip the hue and it'll go all kind of different colors for you, till eventually it gets back to where it was. That's okay. I'm going to have that. So when we hover over it, it's going to do that. When we're not, it's going to do that. And now the actual time it takes to go from desktop to hover is 300 milliseconds with Divi. If you want to slow it down or speed it up, you can do so over in the Advanced tab. Go down to Transitions. There it is. There's the default 300. Slow it down by going to the right, speed it up by going to the left. I'm going to make that about half a second, I guess. 500 milliseconds. Don't want any delay. Want it to happen as soon as the mouse hits it. And transition speed curve I'm going to use is ease in, ease out. Great. Well, there's our first little one taken care of there. Let's save our changes. This will take us back to the main timeline. And here we are. And to save a bit of time, I'm going to clone this one. And I'm going to clone it again. And as you can see, as we're doing that, it builds our little timeline for us. And of course, you can go into each of these, change the date, change the content to what's appropriate for what you've got here. If we move on down, we've got some general things that we can tweak here. I'll just move this out of the way. At the moment, the style is central. So it's starting left and right and everything's in the center. We've got left, where it'll left align everything. And we've got right, funnily enough, which will right align everything. That's a nice little feature. Now I'm going to leave mine on the center. And it also gives us an option here to style it on mobile and tablet. So on mobile, perhaps I might have it left aligned. Now you won't see any difference here because we're not on mobile. But if I now switch this to mobile view, hit the little purple button down the bottom. There's tablet, there's mobile. Let's see if it's going to work on the tablet. Yep, it's left aligned as you can see on the tablet. Let's have a look on mobile. And it's left aligned on mobile also. And you can have completely different settings for all three if you want. Great, well that works for me. Let's go back to our desktop view. You can choose to show a card arrow which will pop out of here. I don't particularly want one, but I'll turn it on so you can see it. There we go, we've got a little arrow popped out of there. And you can enable tree animation. That's when we roll down the page, you'll see it sort of animate a bit. So if I put that on, you can see it's different colors now. And it's sort of animating this color here. And we can choose the colors we want it to show up here. So I'll leave that on. Don't want to link it to anywhere because that means the whole timeline will link to somewhere when you click on it. If you do, you can put a link in there. Same best practices for module link. And again, right now I don't particularly want to put a background in. I may put a background behind it in a minute in this section. Admin label. You can give it timeline if you need to see what it's like on the back end. And what that does for anybody that doesn't know, that gives it a name. So if you've got a lot of modules on a page, you can quickly flip to back end mode or wireframe mode, little icon bottom left here. and it tells you what that is. I've just called that admin label of timeline. Okay, let's go back in here now. I'm actually going to do that a couple more times so you can see the animation when I scroll down. Now let's go over to our design tab. You can align it left, center, right. And this will align the whole thing left, center, or right. You can globally style the title text or the content text here if you want to, and the opposite text. If you don't, you can style these individually in each card or globally here, which is kind of handy. Same with the cards. And the pointer, we've not got our pointer up at the moment, but the tree we do have up, and it's animated at the moment, and as you can see as we roll down, it's sort of highlighting up there. So let's go to our tree and decide what colors we want it. Well, background, I'm going to use the default blue. Active background, just so we can see it, I'm going to use some red. As you can see, that's changed that to red. Width of it at the moment is 3 pixels. If you want it bigger or smaller, just increment up and down here or type in whatever value you want. 3 pixels is good for me though. And if we go into the pointer here, we've got active background color and regular background color, which is the blue. Let's make sure it's the right blue there. And for the active, I'm going to use purple. There we go, just like that. So we've got the red line for active and the purple button. Obviously you make whatever colors you want, but let's make that red, and we'll make our line purple perhaps. Tree. There we go. Okay, that's pretty much all I want to do to our timeline. It's working as it should there. We've got buttons and we've got cards. Obviously you'd have different info in each of your cards. And as I roll down, you can see that purple line activating and those little red dots turning blue as it's deactivating. There we go. That one's turning from red to blue, the bottom one. Great. Well, I think last on my list, let's put a background in here just to make it stand out a little bit. So I'm going to do that in our section. I'm going to go in there. I'm going to go down to background. Let's perhaps add a background image. And again, it's color gradient image. Should stand out with that behind it. Yeah, that works quite nicely. Wouldn't mind having it a little bit darker actually. So let's merge it with perhaps a colour. Let's get a blue up here. Let's make that blue perhaps a little bit darker. And you may be saying, well, I can't see it. Well, if we go back to our image now, we can roll down. As long as parallax is switched to off, we can roll down here and blend that colour with it. I'm just going to multiply. If we go back to our color now, that makes it look like it's absolutely black. Go into the color, click on the color field, variegated sliders opacity or transparency of see-throughness. We can drag this down so we can see just enough of the image behind, and it's going to offset our little timeline there. Something like that's going to work for me. Obviously you fix yours how you wish. So let's save this. What I'll do is I'll quickly add a section above and below this so we can do a bit of scrolling and see the animations and what have you a little bit better. So I'm going to add a section just below here, little blue button. I'm going to add it from the library. And the only one I've got there is a map, so let's pop that in there. I'm going to clone it and put it at the top also, just so we've got something to scroll with. So I'm going to clone that. Use Divi's little handy feature here. If we go over here, we've got a little button. If we click on it, it will show our sections, and you can simply drag it to the top. Sometimes a lot easier than trying to drag things over live sections. So we should have a section at the top, fantastic, and our one underneath. Let's save draft or publish if you're ready now. And we'll exit the Visual Builder. Okay, if I roll down, you'll see that timeline, and it'll start to animate when it gets up about 30-40% of the screen there. There we go, it's turned red, the top one there. Little purple timelines are going down to the next one that's going to turn red when it gets to the middle of the screen. And so on and so forth, all the way down there. And that's a great little timeline. I've used a lot of these in various builds on various sites, and this is one of the easiest to use that I've found, and the results are pretty pleasing, I must say. And I'm using Google Chrome here, so if I check it on a tablet, it should be left aligned on tablet and mobile. So if I hit F12 with Google Chrome, it'll bring up the inspector tools. There it is. I've already got an iPad Air up there. Let's make it bigger so you can see what's going on. As you can see, it's left aligned on the iPad. Let's check it on a phone now. There's an iPhone 12 Pro. Let's make it a bit bigger again so we can see what's going on. Roll on down. There's our little timeline. And it's starting to animate nicely down there. There we go. Fantastic. I do like that. Okay. Well, let's get out of here and we're good to go. So there you go, guys. There's how to create a timeline with the fantastic Divi Supreme Modules timeline module. One of the easiest I've found to use there. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and WebDesignAndTechTips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.